Hello, we are going to talk about logical operations in this video. Okay, so far the conditions in our conditional statements are fairly simple. We have something that's making sure a number is not negative or a string is equal to red or yellow. However, conditions can and do get a lot more complicated. So let's take a look at an example. So we want to write a program that asked the user for the hour, the minute, and the second in the twist here is a 24-hour clock. And also another twist is the seconds. Not only we want whole seconds, but we also want allow the user to be able to specify milliseconds as so the second would be a floating point number that includes both the whole second and the milliseconds. And also, for those of you who don't know what a 24-hour clock or military clock is, I mean, it's just instead of um, uh, AM PM, they don't have AM PM, but like 1 o'clock in the afternoon would be 12 plus 1, which is uh, 1300 hour, and so on and so forth. So an example would be, this is 23 that's actually 11 o'clock at night. Everything else, the minute, the seconds, they're the same. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, the simple thing is let's start with the hour, right? So we ask the user to input an hour. Okay, so I've written this so far, it's fine. Say 3. Well, the time is only the hour right now. We don't have anything. Now, obviously, the problem, as always, the thing when you allow a user to type in something, they type in anything, right? And that's not a valid hour. So we want to be able to check to make sure that the hour is valid. And for an hour clock, for a 24-hour clock, the hour must be between 0 and including 0 and 24, including 24. So how do we check for that? What is the condition? If you want to state the condition in English or pseudocode. So think about it for a moment. Well, what it is we want to say, okay, if the hour is greater than or equal to 0, and that is less than or equal to 24, then it's good. Otherwise, it's wrong. So we can translate that into Python. Let's see how we do that. So we say if hour is less than or equal to, wait, no, sorry. Let me do it the other way around. If 0 is less than or equal to hour, and the hour is less than or equal to 24, we say hour is okay. Otherwise, we say hour must be between 0 and 24. Just capitalize this. Proper English. Okay? So, this is the first time, I believe, that we are seeing what's called a logical operator. And this logical operator is AND. More or less like the English AND. Okay? So, an AND operator, just like because we use it in a condition, it must be evaluated to either true or false, right? So, for an AND operator, it will be evaluated to true if both of its clauses or both of its operands, the expression that's on its left side and the expression on its right side, if both of them are true, then this whole condition or expression is true. Okay? So let's actually take see if it works. So let's say I run this program and enter hour is 5. So hour is okay. 5 is a valid hour in the 24-hour clock. Let's try something else. I'm going to put in hour 100. Hour 100 should be bad. And it says, the hour must be between 0 and 24. Okay, I forgot to actually do a system exit here so that if it's an invalid hour, we don't do anything. Do that again, 100, and it complains. The hour is bad. Now, if you really want to go through the details of how N works, and sometimes you do have to when things are less obvious, this is the step-by-step of how you can evaluate this instruction. I mean the AND operation. Okay, so this example here is the first one that I tried. When hour is 5, hour is 5. So when hour is 5, this expression says 0 less than or equal to 5. Well, 0 is less than or equal to 5, so this is true. Look at this one. Hour is 5. 5 is less than or equal to 24, so that is true. So we have true and we have true. So true and true is evaluated to be true. Okay. Let's try the other one. The hour when hour is 100. Okay. So when hour is 100, 0 less than or equal to 100, that is true. If we look at this one, 100 is less than or equal to 24. Well, that is false. So what we have here is true and then false. True and false evaluates to false, right? Because as we said just now, in order for this whole thing to be true, both of them must be true. But now we have a true and a false. So the whole thing, the whole expression is false. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, try to go through this exercise yourself a few times if necessary. Okay, one thing that we want to say here is, okay, if the hour is fine, if we say we type in the number 5, here we print it out telling the user hour is okay, but that's kind of redundant, right? If the hour is okay, then what we should do is just move on to the next question to ask for the minute. So we kind of this print is kind of unnecessary. Okay, so what can we do? Can we just get rid of this? If you get rid of it, immediately there's an error. The error is not very obvious what it means, but again, if you see enough of this, it's because Python does not allow an empty indented block of code. So there's absolutely nothing between the if and the else, right? It's empty. And Python just does not allow something like that. What you have to do is that you have to use this thing called, it's another keyword, it's pass. Pass doesn't really do anything. So it's a piece of code that doesn't do anything. But it's kind of a placeholder there so that it satisfies the requirement of Python that there's no empty block of indented code. So that's all you have to do. in order to do nothing. Okay, having said that, in general, having a pass is usually not the greatest idea. Um, it does have its use, but usually it should be just kind of a temporary thing until you come up with some real code to replace pass. But if you actually keep the pass around and you intend to keep it forever, it's usually maybe a better way to do things. So try to avoid pass as much as you can, unless again it's temporary. Okay, so in this case, how do we eliminate the empty block? Well, we can if we rephrase our condition a little differently. So give it a moment and think about what's another way to check to make sure the hour is between 0 and 24. At least try to do that in English. And here's a hint. The title of this slide is the not logical operator. Okay, assuming you thought about this, maybe you come up with this sentence instead. So if the hour is not between 0 and 24, then it's an error. Okay, so how can we write that in Python? Well, fairly easily. We can just say if it's not between 0 and 24, then it's something bad, and we will tell the user and then exit. Okay, well, let's see if that works first. So if I say, 5, that's still good. And then if I say 100, it tells me, hey, your hour is wrong. So let's look a little more closely. Whoops. How the not works. So not is another logical operator, just like and. What it does is it negate things. It negate the expression after it. So if this expression is true, not turns the true into false, and vice versa. It will turn false into true. So think about an example. Think about the thing that we just did. If the hour is 100, what happens? So if hour is 100, as we went through last time, 100 is not less than 24, so this is false. And the fact that one of the operand in the AND logical operation is false, meaning this whole expression is false, right? And then we have a not false that would give us true. So that's how it get into here and say, hey, there's something wrong with your hour. It should be between 0 and 24. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Again, if not, try to think through this step by step again. And once you understand how 100 works, then try the case where hour is 5. And make sure you understand that when hour is 5, how this expression is evaluated to false. And we don't claim that the hour is invalid for 5. Okay, so one very, very important thing is, if you noticed, I actually put parentheses around around the n expression. Right? I have parentheses here. Okay, what if I don't have parentheses? Does that work? Well, if I get rid of the parentheses, let's run 100. It doesn't complain anymore. Okay? And that's not good. The reason being that if I don't have the parentheses, if I don't do this AND operation first, what it actually does is that it will do the not first. Okay, so the hour is 100, 100 is less than or equal, sorry. 0 is less than or equal to 100, so this is true. And not true means this expression is false. And since the one operand of an AND operation is false, the entire expression is false. So we don't come in here complain 100 is bad. Instead, we just print out the hour 100. So that's not what we want. Okay, so that's what this slide is trying to say here. So you have to, in this case, if you want this piece of code to work correctly, you have to force the AND operation to be performed first by putting it in parentheses. You get rid of the parentheses, it does something entirely different. Okay, let me put this back. Okay, now that we've learned AND and NOT, there's yet another way to phrase the exact same condition. And so you might want to try to think about it a little on your own first. And here's the hint. We're going to be talking about the OR logical operator. Okay, so the way that we can phrase, describe something that is an invalid hour can also be that if the hour is less than 0, or if the hour is greater than 24, then it's also an invalid hour. Right? So in order to write that in Python, I think you know the drill by now. So what I want to say is, if the hour, wait, what did I say? If hour is less than 0 or hour greater than 24, then it's a bad hour. All right, let's see. Hopefully it works. So I put in 5. 5 is okay. And then I put in 100. And 100 is not a valid hour, and our program complains. So great. Now, just to look at this in a little more depth. So the OR logical operator, an OR expression is evaluated to be true if at least one of its two clauses is true. Right? Obviously, if both of them are true, then this is also the entire OR expression is also true. Okay, so as we've done a couple of times already, let's go through it step by step, given a particular value of hour. So when the hour is 100, okay, when the hour is 100, hour is, well, 100 less than 0. Well, that's false. Okay, what about 100 greater than 24? Okay, that is true. So we have false or true that give us true. And that's how we come into here and say, hey, 100 is bad. The hour should be between 0 and 24. And now it's your turn. You should try to work out the case when hour, oops, darn, when the hour is 5, and make sure you go through step by step and come up with the so the result of this expression when hour is 5 should be false. So go through it step by step, make sure you come to the conclusion that this is false. So just this is just a aside that we just saw there are multiple ways. We saw three ways of expressing pretty much exactly the same logical condition using a different combination of and, or, and not. So topics like this is covered in the discrete math class. They go into actually a lot more detail, a lot more depth, a lot more rigorously. It's a math class after all, and it's a very good complement to being a computer science major. I think it's offered here at Foothill. I don't remember the exact course number, and I believe it's a requirement for all of you CS majors. So make sure you do take the discrete math class at some point. Okay, so here's a summary of what and or and not really do. So and or, they're binary operators because it takes two operands, right? And this may or may not be new to you. Given two operands, there are 4 combinations. So both operands can be true. Sorry, can be false. The first operand A can be false, the second one can be true, or A can be true and B is false, or they both can be true. Now, in case of A and B, the only case where A and B is true is when both A and B are true. Okay, and for or A or B, the A or B is true when either either B is true, A is true, or both A and B are true. Right? This is called a truth table, by the way. You'll see a lot of these as you learn more about programming and computer in general. The not operator is called a unary operator because it takes only one operand. And all that it does, as we just said, it flips or negates whatever that operand is. So it turns, if A is false, then not A is true. If A is true, then not A is false.